Choose any size Sealy Response or Sealy
You are
Outfitters
listening
mat.
to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Spring will be here soon, so if buying a new home is on your to-do list, right now is the time to call Quicken Loans. Learn about which mortgage options make sense for you and get a jump on your competition. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for the new Sesame Ginger Glazed Chicken Signature Wrap. How would you like it?
I'll take a...
Sports announcer at home?
Yeah, how'd you...
We just know.
My wife picks up the new Signature Wrap. It's got double the rotisserie-style chicken mixed with a sesame ginger glaze. She appears annoyed at me, but she shrugs it off. Those sweet and savory flavors are calling her name. She lifts the wrap and she takes the bite! Incredible! And now she's closing the door on my... Subway, make it what you want.
Limited time only at participating restaurants. Double meat based on average 6-inch sub.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Welcome to Circumspice, the right side of Michigan. All things Michigan from a conservative point of view. Welcome to Circumspice, the right side of Michigan. All things Michigan from a conservative point of view. I am your humble host, Alan Ray, coming to you live on Sunday evening from the southeastern corner of what is going to pretty much soon be a crap fest with the weather. Hey, don't go away. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more coming right up. Yeah, you know, it's been a really nice, actually, the last 48 hours, Saturday and Sunday have been sunny. I was over on the west side of the state. Yes, I'm a rebel. I met with people. We had a big dinner. Thanksgiving Day, I was pretty much just kind of chilling out around here because, well, my kids, you know, they're all grown up. They have plans of their own. And we just had my oldest over. That was cool. My youngest stopped by the next day. Was across the state. And, man, the last 48 hours, I was over up north of Grand Rapids, up in the Grant area, just gorgeous. having a good time, meeting with in-laws. We had a nice dinner. It wasn't technically a Thanksgiving feast. It was basically meatballs and snacky type food, which fine with me. The newlyweds, my daughter and her husband were up there, had a great time. And so, coming back across state, I just happened to catch a little bit of the weather saying, hey, don't get used to all this sunshine, kids, because you're about ready to get dumped on. If you're within the sound of my voice, which is all over the planet, basically, but if you're in the state of Michigan and you are kind of at an angle, I'm looking at the map here, from probably the Lake Michigan, I don't know, just right at the southwest corner of the state, and draw a line from there through Lansing all the way up to the south side of Saginaw. Anything on the right of that line, we're going to get crapped on for the next 48 hours. Expecting 4 to 6 inches of snow. So, as usual, when Michigan gets, we have a train going through if you're listening to this live, get into the chat room at www.klrnradio.net/chat. And, anyways, get in there, join the Chat Lives Matter crew. They're in there harassing me. I love it when they do that because then we can interact and have a good time. We celebrate the first major snow. Now, we had a little dusting a couple of weeks ago, and it really wasn't anything to sneeze at. I mean, there was a little bit of ice that gathered on the road. A few people, friends of mine, actually one of them lost it with their car and kind of cracked it up a little bit. I'm terribly sorry about that. But the first major snow we celebrate. We had this little unofficial rejoicing, and we celebrate it by running our cars into each other and into trees and off the road and all other kinds of places. And it's just a tradition that we do here in Michigan because we have somehow, in the past 10 months, forgotten how to drive in icy, crappy weather. And here it comes. So, big show for you today. I'll get off the weather right now, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Be careful. It's coming up. You do have your emergency survival gear in your vehicles, right? Promise me you do. Don't tell me you don't, especially if you've been listening to this show. And, keep it in there. 'Tis the season. I was kind of friendly complaining to my wife that she doesn't have enough things in her car in case, everything goes awry. And, she kind of just looked at me and rolled her eyes, but I have enough to, for like 3 or 4 people for several days, so I'm good with my truck. Plus it's 4-wheel drive and it's a beast, so I can get places most people can't. So let's get going on this. Michigan is tanking, in a pretty much rapid area. There's not a whole lot of good news today. I'm sorry, there's not. You may consider it good news. First up, let's look at sports. Detroit Lions are in the process of just having one of the worst seasons in the world. They have already fired Coach Matt Patricia and General Manager Bob Quinn. They're gone. They're out. They have sucked long enough. Plenty long enough. ABC News says Matt Patricia opened his final post-game news conference with the Detroit Lions by thanking his wife and children for their support. Patricia probably knew what was coming. Of course he knew what was coming. He was getting canned because he sucks. His boss, General Manager Bob Quinn, might not have expected the same fate, but he got canned too. The Lions fired Patricia and Quinn, who hired the coach to replace Jim Caldwell, and effectively ended the franchise's attempt to replicate the success the men helped Bill Belichick achieve in New England. They didn't come close. And it's not even, they didn't come close. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. It clearly wasn't working, Lions owner Sheila Ford Hamp said on a Zoom call with reporters. Let me back up again and repeat that. It clearly wasn't working, Lions owner Sheila Ford Hamp said on a Zoom call with reporters. Okay, the Lions have sucked for generations. And the one constant the Lions have had for the entire time that they have sucked, which has been pretty much the inception of the team, is the name Ford. You can only go on excuses for so long. You can only blame the coach for so long. You can only blame general managers so much. Eventually, you have to look at the owner and say, you don't know what you're doing. The Ford family has had their slimy little talons into the Detroit Lions forever. And until they are bought by somebody who knows how to run a football team as an owner, they're going to continue to suck. Get the Fords away from the Lions. The Fords suck. And they're making the Lions suck. Build cars. You're not even building cars anymore. And I'm going to rant a little bit here. Are you even aware that the only car that Ford is going to have before long is the Mustang? That's it. They're going to go all trucks and SUVs. They'll be the next to go under. They're going to go the way of Pontiac and Plymouth and places like that. But anyways, yes, that is the common denominator of the suck that is the Detroit Lions is the Ford family. And if you're listening to this Ford family, I do not apologize. Get rid of the team. Sell it to somebody that knows how to basically beef up a football team and win games. There you have it. Speaking of other teams that suck, Jim Harbaugh has added to his short days at University of Michigan. I've got insight into the rumblings and the underneath of U of M being my employers. And I love working there. I really, truly do love working there. And I try not to say anything bad about them, but I just get the feeling that even the president of University of Michigan is no longer a big Jim Harbaugh fan. And they're already talking about, there's already rumblings going on about who's going to replace Harbaugh. And names are coming up. There really are. Names are coming up. It was a pathetic game against Penn State, and they got clobbered. They didn't do very well. They went down to Penn State, 27-17, 10-point loss. They just didn't look good. They looked like Penn State was playing like Eastern Michigan or I don't know, Ferris State or something like that. Ugh. So there's already names being thrown around of who's going to replace Jim Harbaugh, and he hasn't even been canned yet. On a better note, by golly, I might end up having to wear green once in a while. Michigan State upset Northwestern 29-20. Good job, State. Way to go. Not even that big of a State fan, but by golly, they keep that crap up. I might have to end up being one. So there you have it. That was the good news. That was the good news in Michigan. It goes downhill from here. Not even lying to you. Hockey season's looking great. We're not even going to go into that because there hasn't been a whole lot of that. But, oh my God, it just one thing right after another. I have had the last 5 days off. I have disconnected from bad news. Not even going to lie to you. I've turned off a lot of radio. I've listened to music, but I have not listened to news. This morning I got up at my mother-in-law's and I watched the news for like the first hour of the day, which she's one of these people that tunes into the morning news. And I'm drinking coffee, watching the news, and I found they came across. Now this is on the west side of the state. I forget what channel it is. I really do. And I apologize for that. I think it's a Fox News station over there. And they showed a graphic that I found, and I'm going by memory, and my memory just doesn't exist anymore. I'm going to try to get this right. They showed a graphic. They were talking about the plight of small businesses in the state of Michigan and the transference of wealth that's going from you and I and small businesses and people who are trying to keep their head above water to people like Jeff Bezos, the Walton family, otherwise known as the owners of Amazon, the owners of Walmart, even Myers, the Myers family. They are the big corporations that can handle times. In fact, they're thriving in times like these because they can invest all kinds of money into major changes to change with what's going on. Now, I'm not really putting Amazon or Walmart down. Being a capitalist, they came up with a better mousetrap. And the name of the game is build a better trap, and people will beat a path to your door. And by golly, when you order something from Amazon and it comes to you on a Sunday afternoon, when most businesses you can't even go into on a Sunday afternoon, you got something going on there. You really do. But that being said, this is going to give you a shock. This year, Amazon has grown by 39.7%. That is huge. That is huge. That is nothing compared to Walmart, which has grown almost double this year. We have basically given them all of our business, all of our money, because they have the buying power they do. And I can go into, if you want, I can go into what I know about Walmart's head buying department, the people in their big corporation that call suppliers in. And basically I've read stories, I've read case accounts of them getting 3-4 suppliers who offer the exact same product and in the room at the same time and having them basically battle out of who's going to give Walmart the best price. I mean, they're brutal. They're brutal. No doubt about it. And they have grown 90%. That is the biggest transference of wealth I have ever seen in this nation. And where is that wealth being transferred from? Small businesses. People who own small stores in your towns, downtown, in your malls, if you still have a mall. Most malls are gone. They've been torn down and a Walmart's been put in their place. This is where your money is. It's instead of spending it there, you're going to other places. You can't go to a restaurant anymore, so you have to cook at home. Your grocer doesn't have the buying power that your local Walmart has. So you're going to Walmart and you're buying what you can't get anywhere else, or Myers, or any of the other huge conglomerates that are in your town. That locally for me, we're kind of the exception. We have several meat markets around here that are small, family owned, and that have been stocked through this entire pandemic. My freezer is just chock full of meats. We're set for a long time. Looks like we just butchered a cow and chucked it into the freezer out back. But anyways, what I'm saying is we as a state, and I guess, and this is this drives me nuts. The same people responsible. Now, let's step back a minute. It's not Donald Trump who shut this state down. It's not the federal government that said you have to shut down and stay shut down and keep locked up until there's a vaccine and you can get, they are wanting us to open back up again because they see what's going on. They see what's coming up next. No, our feckless, moronic governors shut us down all summer. And here we are almost at the end of the year and they're shutting us down again. Because we did not allow herd immunity to take effect. We did not allow people to get out, open businesses up, and yes, protect those people who need to be protecting. And this drumbeat is growing louder and louder, and you can tell it's starting to take hold because the media is fighting it. You see little articles come out, like MLive comes out today. Oh, healthy and active 28-year-old Michigan physician hospitalized with coronavirus. They're looking all over the place, trying to find somebody healthy. This guy says, he's run a marathon in the last 5 years. He doesn't have any pre-existing condition, but yet he got COVID and he's in the hospital. Okay. Is he dead? No, you get down to it and he's hospitalized, but he's going to get out. He's fine. Yeah, he's having a hard time breathing. I've had problems 15 years ago. Thought I was going to die. Respiratory problems. And I was playing City League basketball, working out. I mean, I was in the best shape of my life back then. It happens. These people are the rare exception, not the rule. It even says by the end of the article, He returned to work part-time during the shortened Thanksgiving week and hopes to be back full-time work heading into December. Okay? He's all right. And it even goes into it. I mean, they're out there trying to tell you that, oh my gosh, we're just spiking. All the beds are going to be done. We're going to have to do military hospitals again, yada, yada, yada. And okay, we might, because you didn't allow this virus to work its course on healthy people so we can build up immunity. So now you've screwed up, Gretch. And I do blame you, Gretch. And your creeped out little minion, Robert Gordon. I don't know what the heck's wrong with that guy. But anyways, it says, according to a third-year emergency room physician, an estimated 40% of symptomatic individuals with coronavirus have mild symptoms. Okay, you take the people who, they're saying, oh, we've got 200,000 people that have had coronavirus in Michigan, and they're screeching and crying, rending their clothes, cutting themselves with glass shards. 40% of those people, 40%. I'm no good at math. What is that? 120,000 of the 200,000? Let's just say there's been 40% of symptomatic individuals with coronavirus have mild symptoms. They don't even go to the hospital. Some of them don't even know they've had it. Another 40% have moderate symptoms, which means they get sniffles. They might get a little cough. Okay, that's 80% of the people who get the virus. 80%. The remaining individuals fall into two baskets. 15% have severe cases, which they get, and they get better. Okay, that's 95%. And 5% get life-threatening cases. Okay, so we have shut the entire state down. We have destroyed small businesses for 5% of the 200,000 people who have had coronavirus. Is it 300,000 now? Even then, 5% of those who have life-threatening cases. And the majority of that percent are people with pre-existing conditions and people over 70 years old. See, they're admitting it themselves. You have to dig through these articles. The panic porn pushers are hoping that you just read healthy, active 28-year-old Michigan physician hospitalized with coronavirus and gasp and go, oh my gosh, we got to dig a hole and hide in it for the next 5 years. But when you look at it, they quote the stats themselves. 95% of the people who get this are going to be fine. And even the 5% that get really sick, that have life-threatening cases, not all of them are going to die. You have a 97% survival rate. And we're shutting the entire economy down. Suicides are going through the roof. Drug addiction, alcoholism, family abuse. They don't want to talk about any of that. That should be the topic of conversation that you, my fellow conservative, on the right side of Michigan, should be pushing. Where are all these numbers? Where are they at right now? We want to know what's going on with those. All of a sudden, there's no such thing as heart disease. All of a sudden, there's no such thing as cancer. All of a sudden, there's no such thing as abuse, child abuse, spousal abuse. All of a sudden, there's no such thing as suicide, hopelessness. All you're seeing is 28-year-old guy that ran a marathon is hospitalized with COVID. And that is supposed to be the norm in your mind. It's not. It is the rare exception. And you have to wake up to what the media in the state of Michigan and the United States is pushing on you. Don't just read the headlines, read the whole thing, because these people will actually give you the correct stats if you read the whole article. They'll bury it at the bottom because they know, and this is a psychological phenomenon, it's a fact, that 90 some odd % of the people that read an article only read the first couple of paragraphs and move on. That's why they get the worst, most crazy, what they want to push as a narrative in the first couple of paragraphs, because they know if they bury the facts down at the bottom of the page, you're never going to get to them. That's the facts, kids. That's how it happens. But anyways, in the meantime, you've got desperation setting in people who own small restaurants. BridgeMI.com, BridgeMichigan.com, I should say. When Dan's Downtown Tavern reopens Friday, it will be for carryout, including beer growlers, refills, while offering a few seats on an outdoor heated patio. That's all the establishment can allow, following orders issued last week by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services for food establishments to close to indoor services through December 8th. The order from the Creeper, Director Robert Gordon, MDHHS Director Robert Gordon, the Creeper, an appointee of Governor Gretch and Whitmer, surprise, surprise, also reclosed movie theaters and casinos due to concerns about indoor spread of coronavirus, and it dropped retail capacity limits from 50% to 30%. Okay, you can go to Walmart. You can go in there. That's fine. But they don't want you to have more than 10 people at a family gathering. And this guy, Colander, says, we need to get it open. He said not just of his establishment, but of bars and restaurants across Michigan that he said are suffering with a 3-week halt to their indoor operations. I don't know what can be done. They've already been shut down way too long. Bars and a lot of the restaurants were shut down all summer long. These people are already in dire straits, and now they've shut them down again. Well, you get down into this and you find another alarming statistic. This is among the factors that basically, I don't know. I just don't make any sense. Now I got to find this again. There's some stats this guy quoted that basically say that the restaurant industry is being unfairly targeted. Manufacturing jobs. Here we go. As of Monday, the state's data showed 21 new outbreaks for bars and restaurants combined, plus another 33 ongoing outbreaks. By comparison, manufacturing has 65 outbreaks. Office settings have 40 outbreaks, and retail has 32. I hate to break it to this guy that wrote this article, but manufacturing, our unions financially support the Democrat Party. Our governor's a Democrat. Congratulations. It doesn't matter how many outbreaks they'll have as long as the unions are shoveling money at Gretch. She's going to keep manufacturing jobs, especially union supported ones, open because, pay to play. That's how these people run. So there's a lawsuit again. The MRLA, which basically is a group of restaurant owners, filed a lawsuit. Said they don't take that lawsuit, they don't file it lightly. Justin Winslow is the president and CEO of the industry group. The filing says the industry is being treated unfairly and is operated safely, and it challenges the public health benefits to closing dining rooms while outbreaks continue at a higher number in other areas, including schools and social settings. I can tell you this right now. And it gives a good example here of back to Dan's Downtown Tavern. He estimates that he has lost $500,000 since March, with sales falling from $40,000 per week to $5,000 per week last week. Now, he's got a good note. He inherited the building he's in, so he has fewer expenses. However, he has laid off. He says he worries about his staff too. Before COVID-19, he had 46 employees. He had to lay off all except 18 over the summer. And then he laid off 12 more in the last week. He's got 6 out of 46 employees in his restaurant now. That's all people that you and I, who are still working, if you're still working, have to support. And of course, Gretch is going to want to, the federal government to bail her out. There can't be a clean bill out of Washington, D.C. because Pelosi wants $2 trillion to support all of her social justice crap. She doesn't really care about you. She cares about progressivism. She cares about running roughshod over this entire nation with socialism until we're all just subjugated. They don't want citizens. They want subjects. That's just how these people are. They want you to be reduced to your common denominator, the lowest common denominator. That's what they want. So, yeah, that's what's going on. you've got small businesses, especially restaurants, who are just tanking because of this feckless, reckless leadership that we have as a governor. And even though they're fighting her, she's using her little minions like pawns to get her way as queen. And really, honestly, there are lawsuits going through the system right now, not nearly fast enough, that basically is pointing out that this creep, Gordon, is basically acting as Gretchen Whitmer, at basically just doing what she says. And it's just as illegal for him to do it as it was for her to do it. Now, when we come back, we're going to study some more things on our feckless governor. And is she or is she not possibly involved in a scandal? Rumors are starting to swirl. Don't go away. It's going to get interesting.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq, Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you want to know what life would have been like under Hillary Clinton, just come to Michigan for a while. Hey, I call Gretch the slimier, dumber Hillary. I used to call her the shiny, dumber Hillary, but I've since discovered that sheen that comes off of her face is slime. And it's getting more apparent all the time, and I'll tell you why. Breitbart came out. Now, some of you might stop right there. Go, Breitbart. No, not a reliable source. Yeah, but it's not just Breitbart. Kyle Olson. Remember this name, Kyle Olson. I just come across, in fact, a couple of the things that I looked at today to bring you this show came to me by Kyle Olson. And I looked him up on Parler, couldn't find him on Twitter. I think he got smart and bailed on Twitter. Smart guy. That makes me like him even more. But he has a podcast out there, and I think I'm going to start listening to this podcast. Guys on the Ball. But he reports that an independent audit of the unemployment benefits system, now this is an independent audit, found the administration of Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer paid up to $1.5 billion in fraudulent claims. Now, Fox 17 reported on the investigation of the Michigan Unemployment Insurance Agency conducted by Deloitte, which is the people who did the independent audit. The company interviewed 24 UIA and Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity personnel, including executive leadership. They reviewed documents, emails, charts, policies, and federal and state UI guidance systems, I should say. The report found the agency paid $22.9 billion in claims from March 15th, 2020 to October 23rd, 2020, during the pandemic. As the unemployment rate skyrocketed from 3.6% to 24% amid Whitmer's coronavirus lockdown orders. Yeah, notice they said that right. 3.6% to 24% unemployment amid Whitmer's coronavirus lockdown orders. That didn't come from Donald Trump. That came from Gretchen Whitmer. The analysis found that states were warned in May of a well-organized Nigerian fraud ring exploiting the pandemic to commit fraud against various state UI programs. Deloitte discovered there may have been internal fraud by agency employees and contractors in exchange for payment and kickbacks. On May 27th, 2020, UIA estimated that $1.5 billion of higher risk claims that otherwise may have been detected by Fraud Manager, had potentially been paid prior to running through Fraud Manager, which means basically it wasn't detected by Fraud Manager because it never reached them. Additionally, UIA had identified multiple instances of potential internal fraud by UIA personnel and contractors using their access to UIA procedures and systems to fraudulently approve or disperse millions of dollars in federal and state UI claims to ineligible claimants in exchange for payments and kickbacks. People, this is huge. Huge. Now, the report found former UIA director Steve Gray downplayed the potential of fraud when he told UIA personnel on a call that fraud prevention was not a high priority. Really? Really? That's my money. That came out of my paycheck. Yeah, it's a high priority. My daughter, who got laid off on the very first week of this shutdown and still has not gotten back to her job yet, had to wait 3 months to see a dime of unemployment. A dime. And you're telling me that $1.5 billion got sent out fraudulently? Now, that right there to me says that everybody needs to just stop, back up a minute, take a deep breath. And our state legislature needs to call this feckless moron named Gretchen Whitmer into the chamber and say, we want an accounting of what your orders were. Call the head of the Michigan UIA in and say, we want to know what you've been doing. If you want to spend money on something worthwhile, taxpayer dollars, we need to get to the bottom of this. $1.5 billion. And a lot of it, millions of it, was internal. Internal. Now, am I surprised? No, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. In fact, if you remember back in the summer, she did, in fact, stop for a few weeks, even sending out unemployment checks, because they said there was some fraudulent issues coming across. However, it got swept under the rug. It got swept under the news media. Nothing really came of it. Nothing. Well, now we're seeing why, because a lot of it was internal. She needs to be hounded about this. This has happened under her watch. Now, is she directly responsible? I'm going to go out on a limb and say probably not. The way, if my feelings about leadership usually aren't too wrong most of the time, if my feelings about her are right, even if she did know that something was going on, she probably tried to ignore it because it was going to make her look bad, and she wants to look as good as possible. So, places like Time Magazine can, bring her up for Person of the Year. I can't even believe that. I guess if you kill enough old people, put COVID patients in nursing homes and obliterate the city of Detroit, Wayne County area, because of your feckless leadership, you get Time Magazine's Person of the Year. That's the way it goes, I guess. Anyways, Michigan's unemployment agency, their decisions, the way they handled things, opened it up. Exposed it to hundreds of millions of dollars in fraudulent claims. The way they handled this opened it up. Now, there's another story in Detroit News. Do you believe Detroit News? Detroit News came out with the same type of story. It says the state's attempt to speed up unemployment payments, including personnel moves, policy changes, and technological shortcuts, likely exposed the system to fraud amounting to hundreds of millions of dollars, according to a report Wednesday. The review was commissioned in July after the state's unemployment insurance agency and others across the nation became targets of fraudulent claims, while officials tried to process historic numbers of unemployment claims that they, their governors themselves were responsible for. And again, it brings up Deloitte. They're the ones that did it. While the agency's previous decision sought to balance fraud prevention and timely payment to eligible claimants, we strongly agree with the report's finding that the policy, technological, and organizational changes increase the agency's potential exposure to fraud, said Lisa Eslin Olson, acting director for the Unemployment Insurance Agency. Now, just so you know, our unemployment insurance agency head basically resigned a couple of months ago. Now, this needs to be a lot bigger than what it is. We should be screeching about this. And it didn't just happen in Michigan, although it happened in a lot of the places that were run by, guess what? Democrat governors. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? So, yeah. They're trying to sweep this underneath the rug, but it needs to really come out on top. As a result of all the things we're seeing of how she handled this, yes, there is a movement going on right now to impeach Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Now, I told you last week that basically the head of the Michigan Democrat Party in Lansing kind of poo-pooed the idea. He kind of said, we're not going to go that way. He may have to. He's getting more and more pressure to do so. And this is kind of big. And here we are with Kyle Olson again. And he's got a show like mine that's all on Michigan stuff. And says a Northern Michigan County Commissioner told the Kyle Olson Show this week, Governor Gretchen Whitmer's unconstitutional executive orders are the reason his board backed an effort to impeach her. The Kalkaska County Commissioner, David Comey, said, let's start with a separation of powers. The executive branch doesn't make laws. The legislative branch makes the laws. He said a legislative process includes evidence, debate, and compromise, while a governor's executive orders do not. Kumai said the economic woes in the county of 18,000, Kalkaska County, are just terrible and directly connected to Whitmer's feckless lockdown orders. He said restaurant licensing in the county is down 1/3 since Whitmer began issuing mandates related to bars and restaurants, limiting capacity and how they do business. Now, back up just a minute. Remember, she's going through the little creeper, Gordon. She's going through her Michigan Department of Health and Human Services minion to carry out her queenly edicts. So she can be one step removed. She can shrug and go, I don't know. He's doing what he's got to do. Everybody knows it's her. It's not even a secret. Everybody knows. So anyways, the Kalkaska County Commission passed a resolution 4-2 last week to back an effort by State Representative Matt Maddock, Republican, to impeach Whitmer. Maddock has cited Whitmer's policies of sending coronavirus positive patients into nursing homes and to recuperate as a major reason to oust the governor. So it's starting to gain traction. It's interesting. Do I agree with it? I would rather see her voted completely out, just humiliated, overwhelmingly voted. However, I don't have the faith in the low information, moronic 24/7 news watcher that they would vote against her, even though there's overwhelming evidence that she has screwed the pooch during this entire pandemic. All they see is the mainstream media going out and saying, oh, she's one of the greatest governors. They say the same thing about Cuomo in New York. He's killed millions of people. He's got 1/3 of his businesses shut down. Done. Gone. Never coming back. And they're out there praising his name too. These are not smart people we're dealing with. And no, come on. They voted for Kwame Kilpatrick in Wayne County, in Detroit. They voted for some very stupid people in this state. I can just make a list of some of the goofballs we've had running this state in positions in this state, and Gretch is one of them. I mean, she's so bad that she basically is in this battle with Enbridge, trying to shut down a pipeline that if she has her way and it gets shut down, it's going to kill natural gas in this area. Our natural gas prices are going to go through the roof, and it's going to be hard to get next winter. They've got till May, according to Gretch, to shut the pipeline down, Enbridge, and it goes underneath and the Mackinac Straits. Now, I have been following this story, and I've brought you this story several times on CIRCUMSPICE, and this is the latest. Enbridge has sued to stop Michigan from shutting down the pipeline. They filed on Tuesday a federal complaint at a U.S. District Court seeking an injunction to stop Michigan's orders for closure of the Line 5 pipeline, arguing that the state's shutdown order violates U.S. federal law and the Constitution because Enbridge is a Canadian business. The Canada-based pipeline operator and developer filed the federal complaint in the United States District Court for the Western District of Michigan. Enbridge is also moving the complaint filed by Michigan against Line 5 on November 13th in Michigan State Court to the federal court. They want this they want this a federal issue. Now, earlier this month, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer and the director in the state's Department of Natural Resources revoked Enbridge's easement for the operation. Now, Enbridge is trying to build a much safer line to burrow way underneath the Mackinac Straits to keep what they're saying, they're going to hit a drag line or an anchor or something and rip the pipeline open and kill everything in Lake Michigan and blah, blah, blah. What they're trying to do is go way underneath that so it won't happen. And of course, the tree huggers, the people on the left, and, Gretch is right there in the middle of them because these are her voters. She is kowtowing to these people. And in doing so, she is going to screw you, especially people who are lower middle class, next winter when we can't get natural gas to heat our homes. She doesn't care. So if you don't think she's on this whole climate kick, think again. And in response to all this, she's proposing a $100 million COVID-19 relief plan when the legislature gets back in business on December 17th. She says they're going to be facing a potential $1 billion shortfall next year. Well, whose fault is that? Of course, this is an Associated Press thing, so it's going to make her look as good as they can. But the whole part about it is whose fault is it? Whitmer's request comes as legislators are scheduled for a return to session on Tuesday, December 17th, and Congress has been deadlocked in negotiations over potentially billions of dollars in emergency COVID-19 assistance. Michigan families are hurting, and while we must continue to advocate for meaningful support from the federal government, we simply cannot afford to wait. Well, she is the reason we have the problem. She caused the problem. And then you got her little creepy little goon out there. He's been issuing fines to all these restaurants that thumbed their nose at this last shutdown who are trying to stay open. Jimmy's Roadhouse in Newaygo, they really thumbed their nose at Gretch this last shutdown. They stayed open. And they said, you don't even have to wear a mask. Just come in, do business. We're just going to open up. They shut them down, pulled their liquor license. Creepy Robert Gordon, Michigan Department of Health and Human Services lead, basically fined them $1,000, took their license away. Also did the same thing to Cafe Rosetta in Calumet. And Big Boy of Sandusky received a $5,000 citation. Plus, a Big Boy franchise pulled their franchise name because they refused to shut down. These people are trying to keep fed. They're trying to keep alive. And this is their payment. This is what's going on in the state of Michigan right now. You need to wake up. Corruption in Lansing. Your tax dollars getting just thrown away. And now even the election fraud. There's a new election fraud lawsuit coming out too. This is filed by the Amistad Project of the Thomas More Society, which is also challenging the elections in Georgia, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. The case alleged that the states counted fraudulent ballots while omitting valid ballots. That's hard to say. It says the pattern of lawlessness was so pervasive and widespread that it deprived the people of Michigan a free and fair election, throwing the integrity of the entire process into question, Amistad Director Phil Klein says. The complaint alleges Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson and other election officials circumvented the explicit intent of the Michigan legislature, which established an absentee ballot process designed to minimize the risk of fraud. This is what I said months ago when they came out. Oh, we're just going to mail a bunch of ballots out and you can mail them back in. I said, we already have absentee ballots. Benson sent unsolicited absentee ballots applications to every household in the state without checking whether the recipients were even living there any longer, were eligible to vote, or were even still alive, the complaint states. Amistad's case in the Wisconsin Supreme Court asserts that there were 150,000 potential fraudulent ballots in the state's presidential election, which Biden unofficially won by 20,000 votes. Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Georgia are among the swing states where credible claims of fraud has been raised. We already know that. So yes, more people are getting involved and looking at these election results and going, there's fraud. It's looking more and more. When you do the numbers, you do the math, you look at how things are going. It's getting easier and easier to believe that this whole mail-in ballot thing was a case of basically the Democrat Party taking advantage of people getting sick in order to create fraud. I've said this from day one. I just always got the feeling that there was a back room in a factory somewhere where people were sitting at a table going through lists and filling out voter applications, voter ballots of people who were dead or, still registered but hadn't voted in 10 years or whatever. Also, you're hearing women who have been married and moved out of states using their maiden names and filling out ballots and mailing them in. And they find out that, wait a minute, I voted in Michigan. I haven't lived in Michigan in 6 years. I married and moved somewhere else. It's happening. And it's looking more and more like there's something going on. Well, it's 5 till the top of the hour. I guess you know what that means? It means it's time for...
Bet you're going fishing all of the time. Baby going fishing too. Bet your life, your sweet wife gonna catch more fish than you.
It's time for the Michigan Fishing Report. Not much of one going on today. Quite frankly, Upper Peninsula didn't even bother reporting because it's probably just crap weather. Northwestern Lower Peninsula, Torch Lake, whitefish spearing continues. Lakes Cadillac and Mitchell. Cadillac's a good place to fish. I've done that. Anglers were having some late season success for walleye. Manistee River had pretty good steelhead fishing. Pierre Marquette River, steelhead bites slowed from the cold front, but should pick up with the return of rain and warmer temps. Northeast Lower Peninsula, Thunder Bay River, anglers were still catching some salmon near the 9th Street Dam. Osable River was producing a few trout. Houghton Lake, no boats had been out. Anglers should still find some crappie in the canals. Tawas, the whitefish action slowed, but those targeting them from the state dock were still getting some fish. Southwest Lower Peninsula, St. Joseph, several pier anglers were out targeting steelhead and whitefish when using fresh spawn in the early morning hours and catching them. Grand Haven, pier and short anglers were catching steelhead on spawn. Whitefish action was hit or miss for those jigging in the channel. Grand River or near Grand Rapids had reports of decent steelhead fishing, including upstream of the 6th Street Dam. Muskegon, those jigging for whitefish found action to be hit or miss. Small jigging spoons have worked the best so far. Pier anglers have caught a couple of steelhead using spawn. Muskegon River, recent survey conducted by DNR Fisheries staff sampled good numbers of fresh steelhead in the lower stretches, so they're out there, guys. Go after them. Pier anglers in Whitehall were getting some whitefish in the channel. And finally, in southeastern Lower Peninsula, where yours truly is broadcasting from, in Lake Erie, surface water temperatures in Michigan waters were still in the low to mid 40s, which is kind of warm for this time of year. When they could get out, boat anglers were still finding the occasional walleye. Lake St. Clair, panfish were caught in the canals. Few anglers were targeting muskie. Saginaw Bay, surface water temps were in the upper 30s. A few perch anglers were still heading out. Saginaw River, catch rates for the walleye were slow, but boats and shore anglers are getting a few. And finally, the Tittabawassee River, anglers have caught the occasional walleye. And that, my friends, is the Michigan Fishing Report. Can't have a show without one, right? Even got my own meme in the chat room. GR, come out. Bob and Doug McKenzie. How about that fishing report? How about that fishing report, eh? Got to do it right. So there you go. So there you have it. That's CIRCUMSPICE, the right side of Michigan. Thank you for joining me. Stay on KLRNRadio.net Monday through, next Sunday. We have got a lineup. It's going to be great. It gets a little sparse this time of year because, people take vacations, go on family holidays, yada, yada, yada. But most of us are going to be here. We're going to be having fun. We're going to be bringing you the best in entertainment we can possibly do it. So, bookmark KLRNradio.net and then just keep it on there. There's going to be something on there that appeals to you all week long. Guys, I'm out of here. I'm going to go do some things that basically unwind and relax because I've been last 48 hours been all over the state. God bless you. God bless the great state of Michigan. Hang in there. Keep your chin up. Hey, it's almost Christmas time. And, I'll have my registry on Amazon if anybody's interested in, buying me new equipment or whatever. We'll talk again soon.